Young and Restless early spoilers November 17th to 21st. Nick's menacing ultimatum and Billy's brutal assault. As we always do on early edition day, we start with what's coming the rest of this week. Then we dive into what's ahead for next week. Young and Restless early spoilers. Nick grills Sienna. On Wednesday, November 12th, we've got Nick busting into the room while Sienna and Noah Newman, Lucas Adams, are kissing. Nick pulls Sienna out into the hall and grills her about lying to him and Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, because she's clearly been seeing Noah. Sienna said that's because that was Noah's info to reveal to his parents, not hers. Nick starts grilling Sienna about being in the car with Noah, or maybe following him in her car the night he had the accident. Sienna denies all that, and says there are witnesses at Shadow Room that can say she was at work all evening. Nick asks if Mitch would hurt Noah, but Sienna insists he was out of town. Nick says her husband's real name is Matt Clark and he's dangerous. He says he's known Sienna's husband for decades, and the guy terrorized Sharon. Of course, Sienna doesn't believe this and she wonders if it's all true. Why is this Matt Clark guy not in prison? Nick says because Matt supposedly died and actually tried to frame Nick for killing him on the way out. This Mitch persona is obviously fake. Sienna thinks it's all crazy, but Nick asks how well she knows her husband and how long they've been together. Sienna says the man he's describing, Matt, is not her husband. She also says that her husband does not know she's involved with Noah and tells Nick her husband's not the enemy. She takes off. Sharon's tense confrontation with a dangerous past. Sharon threatens Matt, and their confrontation continues. She thinks that he deliberately went after Noah, but Mitch is like, no, because he's still pretending to be Mitch, right? He tells Sharon he's glad Noah was okay and denies that he's this Matt person. Sharon promises to make Matt sorry for these sick games he's playing. He says he's sick of Sharon's threats and Nick's threats, and he's not going to put up with it. Matt says Nick physically attacked him, and then Sharon's the one calling him violent when he hasn't done anything. Mitch insists he's not this Matt person. Sharon grabs him, and then Mitch says, "You need to stop putting hands on me." Sharon says she won't stop no matter what. Then Matt starts talking about getting a restraining order because Nick threatened to kill him, and then she's making threats. So Sharon leaves very upset and leaves Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, a message while she's in tears, thanking her for supporting her and Nick while they're going through this Noah crisis in LA. Then Sharon leaves Nick a message saying she confronted Matt and asking if they should go to the cops about him. Young and the Restless spoilers. Nick confronts Noah. Meanwhile, Nick confronts his son Noah about hiding the Sienna affair. Noah admits he feels bad because he's betraying Aling Gwynn, Kelsey Wong, and Nick wants to know how much he knows about this Mitch guy. Well, Noah met him in London. Mitch said he should open a club in LA. Noah says he does feel guilty for sleeping with Mitch's wife because he likes the guy. But Nick says Noah needs to stay away from Mitch and also Sienna. Then Sharon joins and Noah wants to know what they're hiding from him. Nick tells Sharon he caught Sienna with Noah, but he says it was just a kiss. That's what their son says. Nick tells him Mitch is really Matt, a very bad man from their past. They tell Noah that Matt hurt Sharon so many times and they suspect that it was him, Matt, that ran Noah off the road because of his fling with Sienna. Noah is annoyed and tells them to leave. Sienna uncovers the truth and confronts Matt. Meanwhile, Sienna has done a little bit of homework. She confronts Mitch and says, "Quit lying." He gets annoyed and first he says, "Let's talk tomorrow." But Sienna has a photo on her phone of Matt Clark from 20 years ago from a newspaper with a headline in Genoa City. So, he's doing the gaslight thing and saying that she's crazy. Sienna asked if he got close to Noah as part of some game to trap Sharon and Nick. Matt keeps up the gaslighting, calling Sienna crazy and telling her to drop it. She threatens to go to the cops, and Matt gets very serious and says that would be a big mistake on Young and the Restless. Corporate intrigue and personal drama in Genoa City. Back in Genoa City, Billy tells Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, that Kane Ashby Billy Flynn, having a bad day. Billy thinks Phyllis stole Kane's AI and it's causing problems. Sally worries about them targeting Abbotcom. Billy wants to check with their IT people and make sure that they're prepared, and he starts trash-talking Kane about him getting what he deserves. Sally just wants to focus on the launch and not revenge. Billy brings up Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, and Sally says that both he and Jill Abbott, Jess Walton, will see how good Audra is once she officially hires her once they're up and running. So Billy asks how Jill is to work for, and Sally says everything's good and says Jill thinks he doesn't know she's the investor. Billy says he's going to clean up his act. He's not drinking, he's giving up bad habits. And Sally loves this. Young and the Restless spoilers, Newman attacks and wedding plans. Thursday, November 13th, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, and Victor Newman, Eric Braeden, go after Billy. He is attacked. This might be a Newman Media hit piece mocking him for taking the back seat at AbbotCom with Sally running it. Or it could be something to do with the AI. Danny Romalotti, Michael Damian, and Christine Williams, Laura Lee Bell, are finalizing their wedding plans. There's about a week left until these two get hitched. Kane is on the defensive. Obviously, his own AI is being used against him. Victor is trying to ruin his business, and Phyllis is in the mix. Friday, November 14th, we've got Mitch Matt telling Detective Burrow, by the way, he's a real cop, he's just a dirty cop. But he tells him to get the guard away from Noah's hospital room. And then somebody corners Noah. So I wonder with the guard gone if creepy Mitch Matt is up there and threatens him. That's what I expect. Tessa Porter, Kate Fairbanks, is talking with Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graziadei, at Crimson Lights. They may have a hard time ignoring their growing feelings. Plus, they may be rehearsing because Daniel is supposed to perform the song that he wrote at the wedding. And I wonder if Tessa will sing with him. We got sparks flying for Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, and Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley by the end of the week. And Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, finds Kane and Phyllis in a very, very close situation. Next week on YandR, a dangerous turn and intensifying feelings. The week of November 17th through the 21st on Young and the Restless, we've got the Matt Clark storyline taking a dangerous turn. He feels betrayed by Sharon and Nick, also by Sienna and Noah. Looks like he wants them all to suffer, so watch for some danger. Billy is in hot water with Sally for breaking a promise. And Noah and Sienna's feelings intensify, and she pushes more on Matt, who's going to snap before much longer. Now, I do know that Sienna ends up in Genoa City with Noah before the holidays, but I've not seen any behind-the-scenes photos of Matt. So, maybe Sharon just kills him in LA. That's what she does. She kills the people that come back from her past. City is about to plunge into one of its darkest, most emotionally explosive weeks yet, and the Young and the Restless spoilers for November 17th to 21st promise danger, desperation, and devastating consequences. Long-simmering tensions finally boil over as Nick Newman delivers a menacing ultimatum that changes everything. And Billy Abbott becomes the victim of a brutal assault that leaves fans questioning who crossed the line and why. This is not just another dramatic week. This is a turning point. Nick Newman draws a line in the sand. Nick Newman has always walked a fine line between protector and enforcer, but next week, he crosses into truly dangerous territory. Sources tease that Nick reaches his breaking point when he realizes someone close to him is playing a reckless game. One that could destroy lives, families, and futures. Nick's ultimatum isn't impulsive. It's cold, calculated, and terrifyingly final. Whether the target is Adam, Billy, or another key player entangled in a web of secrets, Nick makes it crystal clear: comply, or face consequences you won't walk away from. This isn't a warning meant to scare someone straight. It's a threat backed by action, and Nick's intensity shocks even those who know him best. What makes this moment chilling is how controlled Nick appears. No shouting, no dramatics. Just a quiet promise of destruction if his terms aren't met. For the first time in a long while, Nick seems willing to become the very thing he's always despised. Someone who uses fear as leverage. And once Nick makes his move, there's no taking it back. Sharon senses the storm coming. As Nick spirals into this darker mindset, Sharon Newman senses something is deeply wrong. She notices subtle changes, the way Nick speaks, the weight behind his words, the anger simmering just beneath the surface. Sharon knows Nick well enough to recognize when he's about to do something he'll regret. Her attempts to reach him emotionally, however, fall short. Nick believes he's acting out of necessity, not cruelty. He convinces himself this ultimatum is the only way to protect those he loves. But Sharon fears it may be the very thing that destroys him. And sadly, she may be right. Billy Abbott's week turns violent. While Nick plays psychological chess, Billy Abbott finds himself in physical danger. Early spoilers reveal that Billy is brutally assaulted, leaving him injured, shaken, and forever changed. The attack is sudden, vicious, and deeply personal. This isn't a random mugging or a crime of opportunity. Someone wanted to hurt Billy, and they succeeded. Whether it happens during a heated confrontation, a risky meeting, or an ambush fueled by revenge, the aftermath is devastating. Billy's injuries force him to confront a harsh reality. His reckless behavior has finally caught up with him. But the biggest question remains: Who did this to him? A growing list of suspects. Billy has made no shortage of enemies, and spoilers suggest investigators, and viewers, will be left sorting through a long list of possible attackers. Could it be someone Billy blackmailed? Someone he exposed? Someone he pushed too far? Even more shocking is the possibility that the assault may be connected to Nick's ultimatum. Did Nick's warning trigger violence? Or did someone else take matters into their own hands before Nick could act? The timing is suspicious. The motive is murky. And the truth may be far more disturbing than anyone expects. Phyllis faces a nightmare scenario. Phyllis Summers is absolutely rocked when she learns about Billy's assault. Guilt, fear, and rage crash into her all at once as she questions whether her influence played a role in the chaos. Phyllis has always encouraged Billy's risky side, often pushing him toward confrontation instead of caution. Now she's forced to ask herself a terrifying question. Did I help put Billy in danger? Her reaction is explosive. She demands answers. She threatens those she believes are responsible. And she may even go digging into secrets that were meant to stay buried. Phyllis in crisis mode is never good news for anyone. Jack Abbott vows revenge. No one takes the news harder, or more personally, than Jack Abbott. Seeing his brother broken and battered awakens a fury Jack hasn't felt in years. Jack wants justice. But what he's really craving is revenge. Spoilers hint that Jack begins quietly connecting dots, suspecting that the attack wasn't just about Billy. It was about the Abbott family as a whole. And if Jack identifies the culprit, he won't hesitate to strike back. This could ignite a new Abbott-Newman war, one fueled not by corporate sabotage, but by blood and betrayal. The aftermath changes everything. By week's end, Genoa City is left reeling. Nick's ultimatum sends shockwaves through multiple storylines, while Billy's assault reshapes alliances, motivations, and moral boundaries. Nick must confront the consequences of his actions, especially if his threat indirectly led to violence. Billy faces a long recovery, both physically and emotionally, and the people around them are forced to choose sides. Trust will be shattered, secrets will surface, and nothing will ever be the same. Final thoughts, a week fans won't forget. The November 17th to 21st episodes promise raw emotion, high-stakes drama, and consequences that linger far beyond a single week. Nick Newman's descent into menace and Billy Abbott's brutal assault mark a dramatic escalation that could redefine both characters for months to come. One ultimatum, one violent act, and a city pushed to the edge. Of The Young and the Restless, Nick Newman steps into full protector mode as his instincts scream that something isn't right. What starts as a casual conversation quickly turns into a tense interrogation when Nick grills Sienna, and by the end of it, Genoa City may never look at her the same way again. Nick has always trusted his gut, and lately that inner alarm has been blaring nonstop. Sienna's arrival in town raised eyebrows from the start. She slipped into Genoa City with a carefully curated story, a warm smile, and just enough vulnerability to lower defenses. But Nick isn't buying it, not anymore. Nick's suspicion turns sharp. Nick's doubts first ignite after noticing subtle inconsistencies in Sienna's past. Dates don't line up. Names change mid-sentence. And whenever Nick pushes for details, Sienna deflects with emotion rather than answers. To most people, it looks like nerves. To Nick Newman, it looks like someone hiding a bombshell. Viewers will see Nick quietly begin his own investigation, using connections he swore he'd stop leaning on. Sharon notices his distraction, sensing that Nick's mind is miles away even while he's sitting right beside her. When she asks what's wrong, Nick only says one thing. I don't trust her. That's all Sharon needs to hear. The interrogation begins. Nick finally corners Sienna at Crimson Lights during a slow afternoon. At first, the conversation feels polite, almost friendly. But Nick's tone shifts quickly as he starts asking pointed questions about her time before Genoa City. Where did she really live? Why does her resume keep changing? And why has she crossed paths with so many powerful people despite claiming she wanted a quiet life? Sienna stiffens. She tries to laugh it off, accusing Nick of being paranoid. But Nick doesn't back down. He presses harder, his voice calm but unyielding. The same voice he's used to dismantle enemies far more dangerous than Sienna. When Nick mentions a name from her past that she never told him, her face drains of color. That's the moment Nick knows he's struck gold. A crack in Sienna's armor. Sienna snaps, demanding to know who Nick has been talking to. Her reaction is explosive, far too defensive for someone with nothing to hide. She accuses Nick of stalking her, of judging her unfairly, and even hints that she's been hurt before by men like him. But Nick isn't moved. Instead, he drops the bombshell. He knows she's been lying about why she came to Genoa City, and who she's really connected to. The silence that follows is deafening. What is Sienna hiding? Early spoilers suggest Sienna may be linked to a past scandal involving stolen funds, corporate espionage, or even a long-buried Newman-related betrayal. There are whispers she didn't just wander into Genoa City by chance, she targeted it. And more importantly, she targeted Nick. Is Sienna working for someone else? Or is she settling an old score that Nick doesn't even remember? As Nick grills her, Sienna's emotional mask finally slips. Tears well up, but this time they feel real, not calculated. She admits she hasn't been honest, but insists she's not the villain Nick thinks she is. That's when she delivers a chilling line. If you knew what I was running from, you'd stop asking questions. Nick refuses to be manipulated. Despite Sienna's emotional plea, Nick stands firm. He's been manipulated before, by lovers, enemies, even family, and he refuses to let history repeat itself. He warns Sienna that if she doesn't come clean soon, he'll expose everything himself. The tension between them crackles with unresolved danger. There's chemistry, yes, but it's the kind born from secrets and power struggles, not romance. Nick makes it clear, Genoa City isn't a place where lies survive for long. Fallout across Genoa City. Word of Nick's confrontation spreads quickly. Sharon worries Nick is pushing too hard, while Victoria quietly supports her brother's instincts. Meanwhile, Victor Newman takes a sudden interest in Sienna, which alone suggests she's far more dangerous than she appears. Victor's involvement raises the stakes dramatically. If he sees Sienna as a threat, then Nick may have only scratched the surface of what's coming. Is Sienna a victim or a mastermind? As the week unfolds, viewers will be left guessing. Is Sienna truly desperate and on the run, or is she playing a long, calculated game? Her story shifts again, this time hinting at betrayal, loss, and a powerful enemy who forced her into hiding. But one thing is certain, Nick Newman won't stop until the truth is out. And when it finally explodes, it could shatter more than just Sienna's secrets. It could put Nick and everyone he loves directly in the line of fire. What happens next? Early spoilers tease that Sienna's past will soon collide violently with her present. A surprise witness may emerge. A hidden ally could betray her. And Nick's decision to dig deeper might trigger consequences he never anticipated. One thing is clear, Nick grilling Sienna isn't just a confrontation. It's the spark that lights a wildfire. And in Genoa City, wildfires leave nothing inside Crimson Lights felt wrong. Sharon Newman sensed it the moment she stepped behind the counter. The familiar comfort of the coffee house, once her sanctuary, now felt heavy, almost suffocating. The hum of the espresso machine sounded louder than usual, the clink of cups sharper. Every instinct she had honed over decades in Genoa City told her something was coming. And it wasn't good. She wiped her hands on a towel and glanced toward the door. Snow flurried outside the windows, swirling like restless ghosts. Sharon swallowed hard, her pulse ticking faster. She had spent years convincing herself that the worst chapters of her life were behind her, locked away, buried deep, never to resurface. She was wrong. The bell above the door rang. Sharon froze. He stood there like a shadow torn from memory, older, harder, but unmistakable. His eyes locked onto hers with a familiarity that sent ice straight through her veins. The world tilted, the present blurring as the past roared back to life. "Hello, Sharon," he said softly, his voice dangerously calm. Her breath hitched. "You shouldn't be here." He smirked, stepping closer. "Funny. That's exactly what you said the last time you saw me." Sharon felt the room closing in. She gripped the counter to steady herself, her mind racing through years of trauma, guilt, and secrets she had fought desperately to overcome. This man wasn't just a ghost. He was a reminder of the darkest version of herself, the woman she barely survived becoming. "What do you want?" she demanded, forcing steel into her voice. He glanced around the empty cafe. "Privacy. And maybe a little honesty." Sharon laughed bitterly. "You lost the right to that." His smile vanished. "Did I? Or did you just rewrite history to make yourself feel better?" The accusation cut deep, because it wasn't entirely wrong. Images flooded her mind. Mistakes fueled by fear and desperation, choices made when survival outweighed morality. She had crossed lines she never thought she would. And this man knew every one of them. "You ruined my life," Sharon said, her voice shaking now. "You manipulated me, controlled me, pushed me until I didn't recognize myself anymore. And yet," he countered, leaning in, "you walked away free. New life. New love. A clean slate." Sharon's eyes burned. "I paid for it every single day." He studied her, something unreadable flickering across his face. Then why do you still look so afraid? Because some wounds never heal, Sharon thought. They just scar. You need to leave Genoa City, she said. Now. He chuckled. Still issuing ultimatums? That hasn't changed. What has changed, Sharon snapped, is that I won't let you hurt anyone else. His gaze darkened. You're assuming I'm the villain. You always were. Am I? His tone dropped, intimate and unsettling. Or am I the only one who remembers what really happened? Her stomach twisted. Don't. You begged me, he continued. You begged me to help you. To protect you. And when things went wrong, you blamed me. Sharon shook her head violently. That's not how it was. Isn't it? The doubt crept in despite her resistance. Trauma had a way of distorting memory, of rewriting truth until it became unrecognizable. She hated that part of herself, the part that wondered if she deserved this reckoning. You're not taking my peace away from me, she said, her voice rising. I fought too hard to get here. He straightened, eyes cold. Peace built on lies never lasts. Tears welled despite her efforts to stop them. Why are you doing this? He hesitated, just for a second. Because I lost everything. And you didn't. The words landed like a blow. Sharon exhaled slowly. I lost more than you'll ever understand. Then prove it, he challenged. Tell the truth. To who? She demanded. My children? The people who trust me. Yourself, he said quietly. The room fell silent again, the weight of his words pressing down on her chest. Sharon thought of Mariah, Faith, Nick. Of the woman she had become, a counselor, a survivor, a pillar of strength for others. But strength didn't mean pretending the past never happened. I made mistakes, Sharon said, her voice breaking. I trusted the wrong person. I ignored my instincts. And people got hurt. His expression softened just slightly. Including me. She met his gaze. And I'm sorry for that. But I won't let you drag me backward. He stared at her for a long moment, then turned toward the door. We'll see how long that lasts. The bell chimed again as he left, the sound echoing long after the door shut behind him. Sharon sank into a chair, shaking. The confrontation was over, but the war inside her had just begun. She wiped her tears and straightened her shoulders. This time she wouldn't run. She wouldn't hide. If the past was demanding to be faced, she would face it head-on. Because Sharon Newman had survived hell once. And she wasn't afraid to fight surprises. Especially the kind that came wrapped in secrecy, silence, and half-truths. Yet that was exactly what he'd been living with when it came to his son Noah. For weeks, something had been off. Phone calls ended abruptly. Visits to Genoa City were rushed and hollow. And when Nick finally connected the dots, the truth hit harder than any corporate betrayal Victor had ever thrown his way. Noah was hiding something big. The confrontation came late at night at Crimson Lights, long after the last customer had left and the lights were dimmed to a soft glow. Noah hadn't expected to see his father waiting there, arms crossed, jaw clenched, eyes burning with the same intensity Nick usually reserved for business enemies. Sit down, Nick said firmly, not raising his voice, but not asking either. Noah froze. He knew that tone. He'd heard it as a teenager when he'd pushed too far or lied too well. Slowly, he slid into the chair across from his father, heart pounding. What's going on, Dad? Noah asked, forcing a casual edge that fooled absolutely no one. Nick leaned forward. You tell me. Because I'm done pretending everything's fine when it's not. The silence stretched between them, heavy and suffocating. Finally, Nick dropped the bomb. I know about Audra. Noah's face drained of color. Nick didn't stop. I know you've been seeing her again. I know you've been lying about where you've been, who you've been with, and what you're doing behind everyone's backs, including mine. Noah stood abruptly, pacing the room. You don't understand. Then explain it, Nick snapped. Because from where I'm standing, my son is repeating the same mistakes I made. And it's killing me to watch. That stopped Noah cold. Nick rose too, voice thick with emotion. Audra is dangerous, Noah. Not just to your heart, but to your future. I've seen what she does. I've watched her manipulate, scheme, and burn bridges without a second thought. And you, he shook his head. You're letting her pull you back into a world you fought so hard to escape. Noah finally turned, eyes blazing. You don't get to lecture me about toxic relationships. Not after Sharon. Not after Sally. Not after all the times you ignored every red flag because you thought you could handle it. The words landed like a slap. Nick exhaled slowly, pain flashing across his face. You're right. I made mistakes. Huge ones. And that's exactly why I'm standing here now instead of pretending everything will magically work out. Noah's defenses cracked. She needs me, he said quietly. Audra's in trouble, Dad. Real trouble. Nick stiffened. What kind of trouble? Noah hesitated too long. Nick's eyes narrowed. Is this about business? Newman? Or something worse? Tears welled in Noah's eyes. It's about something that could destroy all of us if it comes out. Nick felt his stomach drop. What did you do? Noah swallowed hard. I helped her cover something up. Something illegal. The words echoed in the empty coffee house. Nick's voice was barely a whisper. Do you have any idea what you're saying? I didn't have a choice. Noah insisted. She was desperate. She said people would get hurt. She said she trusted me. Nick slammed his hand on the table. That's how it always starts. That's how people like her operate. They isolate you, guilt you, make you feel responsible for their mess. Noah collapsed back into his chair, finally breaking. I just wanted to be enough for someone. For once. Nick's anger melted into heartbreak. He knelt in front of his son. You are enough, Noah. You always have been. You don't need to destroy yourself to prove that. For a moment, it seemed like Noah might confess everything. But then his phone buzzed. A message from Audra. You can't tell him. If you do, we're both finished. Nick saw the shift immediately. Noah, he said softly. Look at me. Noah met his gaze, torn between fear and loyalty. I can't walk away, Dad. Not now. Nick stood slowly, realization settling in. Then this isn't just about Audra anymore. This is about you choosing who you want to be. He straightened his jacket, the familiar Newman resolve hardening his features. Because if you don't come clean, I will. Noah shot up. You wouldn't. Nick's voice was steady. I would and I will. To protect you. Even if you hate me for it. The door to Crimson Lights creaked open as Nick headed out, leaving Noah alone with his choices, his secrets, and the ticking clock closing in around him. As Nick stepped into the cold Genoa city night, one thing was painfully clear. This confrontation was only the beginning. And no matter how it ended, the fallout would ripple through the Newman family in ways none of them were prepared for.